Okay, well, the last time that we spoke, we talked about the circlet that rests upon the head and on attainment that each person ultimately will attain to at some point in their life along the path of the Faithist discipline. Service to Jehovah, the Almighty, all pure. And speaking of the circlet, we spoke of it in terms of the jack or the knave, which we can also think of as being an apprentice, royalty, or that is to say, looking over the entirety of the heart kingdom, because we're talking about the jack of hearts being the season from June solstice until the September equinox. And so there's 13 weeks in there, and there's 13 stages or steps or conditions that man goes through in experiencing the hearts for that season. And so the 11th week, which was a reflection of the foundation, which is what the apprentice does. Well, in this season it has to do with the hearts, and in the next season will have to do with the spades, and then the next season the diamond, and the next season the club. And then we're at the end of the year and we start again, and we get to re-experience them all and work with them all, hopefully on a higher level. But if we haven't learned certain lessons, we'll go through those lessons again. And that's just the way the creation is. Jehovah made life that way, and for the resurrection of all. And so the knave, or the apprentice, so to speak, now his responsibilities, now we say it's a he. Now it was taught, okay, so you have a jack, the queen, and the king. Those three representative of the, those who have essentially working with the entire domain of hearts, the ones in the hearts. And what the apprentice does is he's more like a line officer in many instances, because he's learning about, basically he's trying to keep the ship afloat, trying to keep the circle whole and everything, and trying to make sure that everything goes smoothly, and learning how things run on that level, because the level of the circlet, which is, as mentioned in our previous talk, was about moving forward in dealing with the entirety, and it's an active type of an attainment. It is a soul attainment in the sense that it's grounded in your ruach, it's grounded in your soul, and so you have to develop in the soul in order to get the circlet. But what comes after, which is what is dealt with the following week, which is in the case of hearts of this season, it would be the Queen of Hearts. And she deals, now it mentioned that the circlet, okay, there's a rise from the circlet, and that rise from the circlet is the tiara. That's the beginnings of the tiara, and there's many differences. Like there's an infinite number of circlets, there's also an infinite number of tiaras, but they have certain rudimentary, fundamental forms, shall we say, that people initially progress through, and it's really not much different from any organization where you learn the ropes. It's sort of like using a nautical term, and you learn the different positions, and that's essentially what the jack or the knave does. is they learn all these positions and keep things going, and it's a very active type of a situation. But really, what it is holding together the ruche of everything in a certain aspect of it, and not in its entirety, because that's only Jehovah can do that. But we can grow to gain more and more in our learnings as we go. Well, anyway, in as much as the knave or the apprentice, or the prince, if you want to call him a prince or princess, they go forward and they do the work that's required of that level. And one of the things, now we mentioned this in the last talk, is that there's a connection with Jehovah's kingdom. Now, we also spoke about the inner temple, and we'll do a talk at some other point on the inner temple, what that is, and what that entails, and all that. But for now, suffice it that the inner temple we start off with the soul, with the ruche, and developing in that. And you develop, and when you develop upward, now you develop the first sort of attainment of sort of officer standing, I guess we would say, but it has to do with being in tune, as we mentioned, with Jehovah's kingdom. But this is more than just saying, "Wow, I'm in tune with you." But it's a mental attunement. Compared to like when you start off in the inner temple, it's with the ruche, with the soul, and you sense it, you feel it, and you go with it, and you try to get that light in the heart, or you want your light in the heart and all that stuff. And so you go forward in the inner temple and looking for that light, that light of that light of spirit that you want inside you, because you want to be that person of light. Ultimately, at some point in time in your life, you will, and you'll want to become a person of light. And this is what the inner temple deals with: how to become like an inner person of light, and how to sustain that. We call it the inner temple because it's inward. It doesn't have anything to do with what's going on out here in corporea, other than we have to deal with what's going on out here in corporea. But we deal with it we learn how to deal with it through the soul, so that we experience corporea through the soul, experience things that are happening out there in the physical world. We experience them from our soul, not from an animal perspective. Yes, we can still perceive it from a corporeal level. We don't lose that. This is like interior to that, an enhancement. It's like a whole different level of comprehension and understanding and perceiving, which has to do with the spirit and the soul. And so a person, anyway, when they start off in the inner temple, that's what they're going for. They're going for this light and everything.